Yeah. Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Nishmas Mordechai. Hi, Rebelli. Two of your favorite members, Elionot and Akiva Z, in the airport, heading not home, but back to America. We had an amazing experience, and I recommend everyone make it a must-do when you visit. Thank you so much. I put that arrow there because it says on his sweatshirt, I don't know where he got it from, eat, sleep, Daf Yomi, repeat. Yossi Klein. In today's shir, you told the famous expression from the Nazir Yehuda, the Hasidim Yikoshlu ba. There's a fascinating postscript to the story. I got it from a bunch of people. We received a lot of emails about this, but Baruch Hashem, none of them were, I think the Olam got it. A few generations later, in the times of the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Rebbe Chabad, Shalom was achieved between Hasidim and Snagdim. During that time, a grandchild of the Nazir Yehuda wanted to make a reprint of his tshuvas where he would amend the final line of the tshuva to conform, I think it's supposed to, with the actual pasuk. When he mentioned as he did to this particular chassid, the chassid discouraged him from doing so, saying, your grandfather made every poisheh into a chassid, and you want to make chassidim into poishim. Thanks again for your incredible engaging shiurim. Shlema Spira. Dear Belly, please see attached photo. Chaver member Junior 54, Shai Spira, Stanford Hill, London. On a call, spreading the light of Torah with MDY. Chassidim for MDY. I thought I had that. No, it said this is that magnet. I thought it's the LE for MDY, but it says Z over there. That's something else. Okay, a different license plate that I don't have. I coordinated the powwow business expo while passing the auditorium. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This is the coordinator of the powwow. It's the Sonal Gans from Ami magazine with Joel Wool standing on, how do you pronounce? Wool. Well, stage doing the good morning Rabbi in front of the crowd is this normal thing to do. See attached video, Joe Floor.
It's pretty good, Moshe. We need much louder. Good morning,
Okay, whatever. Now, this is one of a few emails I received. I'm not going to read the entire thing here, but it says this is from Tuvi Kona Chassid. And finally, recently is my third round of the daf. My 2-year-old daughter loves replying to the good morning Rabbi say, you mentioned today's shir that we all used to daven Ashkenaz. Well, the first page of the Kavar, First of all, I didn't mean we all. Ashkenazim, the guys from Poland and from Hungary and from Litva, they daven Ashkenaz. First page of Kavanas, Arizal says there are 12 Nuschois Atfila, connected to 12 Shvatim, for example, Katloinim, Italkim, Svardim, Ashkenazim. You're not allowed to change the Nusach Atfila because we don't know which Shevi we're from. It was only after the Ptir of the Baal Shem Tov that the Hasidim veer away from the Nusach of Anshe Knesset Agdoila, Nusach Atfila. So this is what I was told yesterday. The Baal Shem himself used to daven Ashkenaz, and he had the Kavonas Arizal on the side of his Ashkenaz Siddur. That we could verify from the guy that bought his Siddur, right? Somebody bought it. The Magnum Zrish was the first to take Shmuel Vital's, Reb Chaim's son, notes of the Sfadi Nusach and apply them to Nusach Ashkenaz. Since then, every Chassidus has different amounts of the. Reb Moshe says that everyone wants to come back to Nusach Ashkenaz can. Yasha said this, the Alter Rebbe writes, I guess this guy's a Lubavitcher, the Alter Rebbe writes, the Nagdama, the Siddur Rav, that someone that doesn't know his own Nusach should daven his Nusach Svard, which is Koilet HaKol. The kids are not all Hasidic Rabbeim embrace the change of the Nusach. The Noam Eli Melech, in his Agdama, which is not printed in modern prints, as they don't like what it says, writes against the Nusach Svard of the Hasidim. This is the Noam Eli Melech. Tuvi Cohen, brother of Nisan Cohen, your cousin, the chassid of Beitar, Shimi Leifman's second cousin. Now, there's another one. He obviously spoke about Hasidim because the email inbox is empty and needs some incoming to enjoy. The emes is, I forgot to mention one very special nakuda that I wanted to say yesterday because my chavrus encouraged me not to talk about it, but I ignored him. And the reason why I wanted to speak about it is the reason why what I forgot to say. I wanted to point out a very big thing, and he points it out in the reverse. I have a lot of Hasidic friends, and a lot of them don't realize the history. So some of them say they have all these derogatory names, Snag and Katalitvak and whatever it is. If everybody realized, imagine if we knew that 200-300 years ago we were all Sfardim, Ashkenazim would realize that, they would have a much better connection to them. If Hasidim would realize that they also used to daven Ashkenaz, a lot of times I go into a Hasidic shul and they don't even have a single Ashkenaz Siddur. It's completely awesome to them. So I'm saying we could break down the gaps and the what are you saying? Okay, Bekitzer. So that was the point I wanted to say. I said it as achdus. If you just realize that we all come from the same place. 200-300 years ago, we died in the same thing. We're all the same thing. We had the same, especially Lubavitchers, who they like to say snag a lot. They're the most Litvish ever. I mean, even their Havar is Litvish. Okay, fine. How ironic, Yeshua, as Baruch Hashem, tons of Hasidim, despite how you dress, shave, socialize. This is because Hasidim love emes. And you teach Torah emes with an emes heart, l'shem shamayim. So Hasidim ignore all the surrounding shtusim and focus on the emes and truly enjoy the camaraderie. If on the other hand, you'd have a great dafshir by chassid, a great orator, how many litvaks would attend, he asks. Okay? Also, dear Rebbe, you need to brush up a little on your history. By the way, the Ari HaKadosh also brought down a new derech. Of course, this was not meant to be a real debate. No need to debate. Look at the world today. Even the so-called Litvish, even modern Orthodox, Kippas Rugat, in reality, practice the Heilige Baal Shem Tov, what he taught us. Let me conclude a true story. My friend learned in Panovich in the 70s. I don't know about the story, but he writes it, we'll say it. Rav Shach Zitzal just concluded an anti-Hasidim speech. I don't know if there's such a thing, but okay. When a Bacher got up and asked, Rebbe, from the 500 Bacher I'm here in Yeshiva, how many do not have Hasidim in their ancestry? How many descended from Litvaks only? The answer will shock you. Only 3 Bacher out of the 500 did not have Hasidic ancestors somewhere in their family tree. I was saying the opposite. Every Chassid is a Litvak back in the day. Not really a Litvak, but asking a fight. You're truly anonymous Talmud. Thank you, Reb Nachman Seltzer, for sticking up for Hasidus. Okay, whatever. Rabbi Isai, here we go. I guess we could do this first. The Koil is anonymous from Lakewood. The Koil is sponsored by supporting Torah Strength and Avi Gargir. The Masechta is sponsored by Maaser. The Masechta is sponsored by Nishmas Chai Bas Yosef by Anonymous. The Paras HaChodesh, Shprintzy now grows in Nishmas. The yahrzeits are our fathers, Shalom Burch Yehuda, Aizek, and Benimin Aizek ben Tzvi HaKohen. Paras HaChodesh, second one. Then the white family, Nishmas Boruch Helfgat, Zechron LeBracha, Ben Yibal Chaim Mordechai Shloima. Third parents, Nishmas Zechariah Ben Moshe. The parents of Shavua, Yossi Klein, in honor of Yidi Leibowitz, Shalom Burch Yehuda ben Yosef Ycheil Mechel. Please put on your status, join for Yidi.com. By Yitz Moshel, in honor of Rebelli, the Baldman Brothers, Yosef Billyack, Gershon, Avi Gargir, Tomer, and it says over here, Fix. All others who made the shir happen. Not Mamish. By Abba Renner, he's not here, so I'm not going to lie about him. By Abba Renner, L'zeich Nishmas Hagoyin Atzadik, Mordechai ben Rebelio, Programanski, Zeich Tzadik Gerochan is yahrzeits. I wish I knew this earlier. Maybe I would have found something to say. I said a lot of stuff from him this year. Donny Sohnen, what?
You had the information last night.
I don't really go through this. I don't do Chazoras Hashir on the Donny Sohnen, Leilu Nishmas Yaakov Ari ben Tzvi. It wasn't last night because I only put it in very late last night. You put it in early in the morning sometime, no? No? Okay. That's what I meant, early in the morning. For a complete refuah, the art of the month, for a complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi ben Leo. Now, questions of the day. Let's say somebody's a sandik, okay? And the Baal Simcha gives you $100 to come with a taxi. And you decide not to take the taxi, you decide to take a public bus. Public transportation, it costs you $5.50. You have to give him back the $94.50, or you get to keep it. Let's say a teacher, Noam Fix hires a woman to teach in a seminary. Here's 50 shekel to take a taxi, and she takes the bus. Does she have to give back the money? What are you tying in on? Is there enough community between the two cases? There is. Now, how could a woman own an animal to make a carbon? It's 3 ways. How could you, again, you hear the question? Very simple. A lot of people know at least one of the answers. How can a woman own, No. She has a husband. Atnai. Nedunya doesn't really work because the husband has some barzel and nipsi malug. He makes it nai. Who makes it nai? Who said it nai? You? Who makes it nai? The person giving. Okay, that's one way. What? No. This marriage. I'm talking about in this marriage, the person. Okay, so we'll see today different ways that a woman can own a carbon. Zog the Gemara. We're in the middle of a sugi here, middle of the Agadatas. We're going to finish off the Agadata. Beautiful two concepts that we learn from Bnei Yisrael. Two amazing things actually that can really help us out. We're 10 lines from the bottom of the Chav Gimel Amud Beis. If a person speaks a little bit more refined, HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays attention to that and gives the person the appropriate schar. Dilu b'chira, the kirite mayav. The older one, the first one who had a child from her father, called her son mayav, from my father. So the Torah says, "Al totzar es mayav val tizgur b'melchama." Don't lay a siege on mayav, and don't make war with them. You could go in there, force people, make people meshuga, take stuff away from them, do whatever, make them crazy, scare them. It just says you shouldn't make a melchama. Why? Because she wasn't careful in the way she spoke. She had a grub lashon the way she called her son. Somebody here, somebody, I believe in Ramah Bet Shemesh, I hope they don't watch the shir, named their kid Achzava, disappointment. Yeah. Melchama hudeloi avatzur tzarino bilutzir de karite benami. But the younger one said it a little bit, and even as we explained yesterday, that they wanted to let the world know that this is not whatever. But there's ways to say it. Benami doesn't say Mefurish, the son of my father. Benami, for my nation. It doesn't say anything about a melchama. It's Maaser from the Torah. Don't start up with them at all. You have no right to chepe them, to bother them. Stay away from them. It's unbelievable. One word, one way to name a child a little bit more refined, using our lashon the proper way, because Boruch Hu pays back. And another beautiful thing. This is very, very important to us. When a person jumps to do a mitzvah, doesn't delay for a second, also tremendous schar, not stam tremendous. The difference was a one-day thing, 24 hours. The older one jumped in, and as we learned yesterday, it was l'shem shamayim. Yes, it was relations with their own father, but it was 100% l'shem shamayim. Zachsa daf chavdal Amud Aleph. Zachsa v'kadmar bod doirois b'Yisrael u'malchus. Not stam 4 generations earlier, but look what she had: Oived, Yishai, David, Shlomo. And I want to point this out every time I mention his name, Yishai. There are 4 people that didn't deserve to die at all. They should have lived forever. Who are they? Binyamin. Very good. Who else? Yishai. Oh, you said the hardest one. Kilov. Who's Kilov? David's son. And who's the other one? Amram, Binyamin, Yishai, and Kilov ben David. So Yishai, not Stam, Yishai, she had Yishai. Yishai didn't deserve to die. David, Oived, Shlomo Melech. And then the sister was Zoichet Rechavam ben Shlomo, which the mother was Naama, which came from Ben-Ami, from Ammon. Okay, but nobody says this, but I'm thinking to myself, maybe the older one not only was, well, that's not the point of the Gemara, so maybe I shouldn't say it, but the older one jumped in and did it. She invented the idea, maybe. She took charge. But she was first. So when you do a mitzvah, you jump in, you give tzedakah first, you jump in first, everything first. There's no reason to delay. The quicker you go, the more schar you get. Says the Mishnah, the official Mishnah, Mordechai Sapaznik, the Nishmas, Rav Feivel Cohen, Rav Shraga Feivel ben Reb Eliezer, Kohen Zechitag the Mechaber, Badi Ashulchan, and I'll stick in here and for a shidduch for Mordechai Sapaznik. Amen. Ha'isha shenadra ben Nazir. So, as we've been finding throughout the Masech, a lot of it is Chazara, and we're very familiar with this. We discussed this Mishnah at length. Ha'isha shenadra ben Nazir, v'frisha es behemta. A woman became a Nazira, and she set aside her animals. Here's the animals. Now, If you look at the animal, the Belz Chassid said that I said, how should I do oila? He says, what do you mean? A Chassidish man with a beard. I said, what? Chassidim al Kadesh, but Litvak's not. I don't like that. Okay, at the end he did it with a beard, with a fine. Oila kuli Hashem. So what's a shlomim? A shlomim, which is partial Hashem and part you could eat. So it's a regular Chassidish guy without the beard. The chatos is a balas tshuva. Well, it's because it's a female. It's a balas tshuva. In the process of doing tshuva.
Why do you need to be so fat?
I don't know. Just seems like the first few minutes of shir he's very into it, and then later on it fizzes away, he drops off. Most of his ha'aras are in the beginning. So if you didn't appreciate that one, don't worry. In a few minutes it'll be away. It's supposed to bring, it's called a chatas shmeina. There's such a thing, a chatas shmeina. You bring a nice hefty gesunte chatas. What else are you going to bring? A little skinny thing for Hashem? Befrisha is behemta. So, she's about to finish up the Naziros. She sets aside these behemoths. Comes the husband and Zmefer. Now, how in the world does she have an animal? Either, like he said, what's your name again? Remind me. Shmuel Israeli, big time Chachamim. He knows how to learn. The whole time he's giving good haras. But he's leaving us today. Leaving. Not us, like Eretz Yisrael. And somebody gave this woman an animal on condition that your husband has no reshus in it, on condition you use it for a carbon, and we're going to see other ways. Or the husband himself gave it to her. He says, here, take this animal, it's for you. Then the husband comes along and does how far she knows she wasn't a Nazir to begin with, or from this point out. If he owns the animals and she took it from his pen, it's not a problem. Take the animal, put it right back where it came from in the pen, because she was never a Nazir. Shalom Yisrael. But if the animal was hers, now we could go with the pshat is megas gayas, that from this point on she's no longer in a zero, and therefore the animals that she was magdish have kedusha to them. So what do you do with the chatos? Chatos Thomas. Here, he did a thing here. Let's see if we can get to it. I think it goes like this. The oila goes on the thing, the shalom goes on the thing. Okay, the chatos you put in a pen, yeah, it's the whole thing. You put the chatos away, you don't give it any food, any drink, and tamus.
No animals were harmed during this demonstration.
Okay. Chatas tamus. All I remember is like Dr. Epstein. He watches the shir still. We looked at. He's in America now for a while. He just got married. His second marriage, and he's in America. I remember him like when we were learning countries, like it's so inhumane, Eli. It's so inhumane. Like how do you deal with this? Like remember, like okay, it is what it is. Chatas tamus. There's nothing you can do with the chatas. You can't bring it to the Beis Hamikdash because it doesn't have an owner that needs a chatas. You can't just bring. There's no chatas nedava. Oila you can bring as a nedava, from the goodness of a person's heart. You can bring an oila every day. You can bring shlamim. But you cannot bring a chatos, so this chatos has nothing, you can't do anything with it. You let it wither away. You want to see that again? I'll show you how it looks when you wither it away.
It's a skinny one for you.
It became skinny eventually. So the oila you bring on the mizbeach, shlamim. I just explained. What did I just explain? What did I just explain? No. Has no bailam.
But she's chayav.
She designated as she's not chayav. No, she's not chayav. She's chayav, but she's not a nazir now. Right now, she's not a nazir. She's not a nazir. At the time when she was married, she was in a zero, so it has kedusha to it. But right now, not. It's like, it's literally, as we learned the other day, it's as if she died. It's like chatas shemesu ba'aleh. You have a chatas here, and the owner either physically died, and there's nothing you can do with the chatas that has to die, or the owner is not available to bring it because she's not a Nazir. What is she? She's going to go in the Beis HaMikdash now and bring a chatas, what she doesn't have to bring? So check this out. Oh, not this one. This one. This is the right and the left. You have a regular shlomim, and you have a shalmi nazir. There's a few differences between the two. Regular shlomim, you get 2 days and a night. So if I bring a shlomim today, so I get the whole day today to eat it. I get tonight, and tomorrow day. Tomorrow night I can't. But a shalmi nazir gets only 1 day, 1 night. So in other words, today, tonight, but after tonight, once it's like, Alaysa Shachar, finished, done. You can't eat it anymore. So the Mishnah says, we're going to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You see, I put 2 checks there. From the Shalmi Nazir, since it's a Nazir, we're going to go to L'chumra and we're going to say you can only eat it for 1 day. Shlamim, regular shlamim, there's no bread. This, if you notice in Yoshi's old art, with this Corvette, or whatever this is, by the way, if you've been in America, they have this car that looks like a Lamborghini. It's everywhere, but it's a cheap Lamborghini. It's a Corvette. You know what I'm talking about? Imamish. Okay, I don't know. Whatever. You guys are the old Corvette is that. This one's like every time it's passing by, whoa, another Lamborghini. It's not a Lamborghini, it's just Corvette. Chill. So anyway, so in this thing, he's bringing the breads, the karbanas, the animals, and the bread. That's because he's a Nazir. But a regular shlamim doesn't require bread. So what says the Gemara? Check this out now. There's 2 things going on here. Shlamim tikarev shlamim. You could bring a shlamim bin a dava. How do you say nedava in English? What? No. A donation. Let's call it donation. A gift. That's okay. There's a better word for that. Voluntary donation. I like that. Okay. Voluntary donation. Shlamim tikarev shlamim. Because you can bring it anyway. However, what about the halachas that come along with the shlamim? Nechalim liyoym echad. It's not like a regular shlamim that gets 2 days and a night. This gets 1 day and 1 night. Basically, we take away the following day. You take away 12 hours. Ve'ein antunin lechem. Whereas a shalmi nazir requires bread, this one doesn't require bread. I just point out, Taisus brings over here, there's one other distinction, and that is the zroya. The foreleg typically goes to the Yisrael, and when it's for the Nazir, it goes to the Kohen. So that's the difference. The Machlekes Rishonim, what happens to the Zroya? Okay. Hayullah ma'istumim. She set aside money, a pile of money, but she didn't say what happens to the money. Is she going to buy an oil with it, a shlamim, a chatos, all 3? Here. Not this one. Oh. I got it. Okay, I think I messed it up because I did my own. I added those 2. Okay, fine. Moistumim, very, very simple. She didn't, there's a question mark on the money, where it's designated for. She put it aside, it's for my karbana, she didn't say what. Mois mufurashim, she said mufurish. This coin is for the Eli. This coin is for the chatas. This coin is for the shlamim. Hayla moistumim, yiplu l'nedava. This is halacha l'moshe Messinai. There's a few halacha l'moshe Messinai here today. This is one of them. Halacha l'moshe Messinai says, you take the money and you give it to Ketzah Mizbeach. Ketzah Mizbeach is the dessert of the Mizbeach. Sometimes the Mizbeach has a low time. So we take an oila from the pen and we put it on. We want there to be a carbon at all times. So this money goes to that fund, to the Nedava fund. Mois mufurashim. What if she designated money and now she's no longer in a zira? I don't know what to do with her money. So the meichatos yochel yamabelach. If it was a physical animal, what do you do with it? It dies. So now they have money for that physical animal. There's nothing you can do with it. The only thing you can do with it is chop it up and throw it into the Yam HaMelech. Here's a guy trying to get a tramp. I just like this guy, this artist, always uses that yarmulke on all his characters, but today he's going to Yam HaMelech, so he gave him a little front cap to it. I thought it was interesting. Okay. He has his avatiach ice cream on the side, and he has dmei chatas in a bag. He's going to Yam HaMelech to throw it into Yam HaMelech. The Gemara talks about this a lot, and there's discussion whether it means literally Yam HaMelech or it means destroy it. But there are some who say no, Yam HaMelech. You got to throw it in there. What's gonna happen to it? It's gonna rust. It's gonna dissolve. It's gonna disintegrate. And Shalom Yisrael, nobody's gonna. But if you throw it out, let's say you bury it in your backyard, some guy 50 years from now is gonna dig out the backyard and find it. It's a problem. You maybe have to go Yam HaMelech. Okay, maybe you have to grind it to find. Okay, you're not allowed to benefit from it. You're not allowed to take the money, this chatas money that you're about to throw into Yam HaMelech. You can't benefit from it. Loi moyalim. This is a lashon that we have throughout Shas. It's a little bit difficult to lashon because it seems like there's no me'ila. It's the opposite. Loi moyalim is there's no isser me'ila. You don't have to bring a carbon if you went ahead and used this money, which you shouldn't. You don't bring a carbon. You might be over isser deraisa, but you don't bring a carbon. It's not an isser of me'ila, it's a different isser. Loi moyalim. There's no isser me'ila. Go ahead. What about the me'ila, the money that she designated for the oila, because it's mefurish, she said exactly, I want this for the oila, this for the chatas. Yavi oila, u'moyalim b'hem. You buy a carbon oila, and if you use it, the money, since it's designated for a carbon, it's going to go on the anything that goes on the mizbeach, and you use yoiver me'ila u'moyalim b'hem. Doesn't mean you're permitted, right? And I'm saying the lashon is always tricky. It's the same exact lashon throughout the entire Shas. Once you know it once, you know it forever. U'mayel ben means you're over on me'ila. Not that you could be mayel. You're usher to be mayel. U'mayel ben, it's usher to. The mei shlamim. Shlamim is what? It's a lower gedusha. It's not kachi kachim, it's kachi kalim. It's lighter gedusha. If you shlamim, you bring a shlam with it. V'necham liyom echad ve'ein tu'unim lechem. You buy, just like the carbon itself, you bring it, you buy a shlam with it, you only get 1 day to eat it, and you do not have to bring the breads. Man, tana. The ba'lo mishtabedlo. So now we have a very simple sugya. It goes to the bottom over here, and we have 2 shitas, and we're going to flip the shitas. Everything about it, we're going to say it one way and then say the exact reverse. It works both ways. That the fact that the husband gives his wife a carbon, doesn't give his wife a carbon, how much is it the wife's or not? Mantana the Baal lo mishtabedlo. Who's the man that says that the husband does not have to give her a carbon here? Omer avchizda rabbanani. Rabbanan hold that a husband is not mechuyev to provide his wife with karbanos. She messes up, she's mechal Shabbos by mistake. It's her problem. Let her go figure it out. Now, she doesn't have any money. She doesn't have any korbanos. Let her figure it out. When she gets divorced, when she loses her husband, she'll pay for it. Right now, I'm not mechuyev to give her and provide her for korbanos, say chachamim. So Mela. Now, the husband did not give her a carbon. And he annulled her naziros, so whatever carbon she had is not kaddish. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, why does this animal go right back to where it came from? And you just use it as a regular animal. In the ksuba, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it says that the husband must provide his wife with animals. So if he provides her with an animal and it was hers at that point, because he's mechuyev to give it to her, so she took an animal that's hers and she made it kaddish. So it remains kaddish. The fact that the next day the husband annulled her naziros can't affect the animal. She had all rights on this animal and she made the animal kaddish. If she has no right on the animal, so who is she to make? I can't come into your house and take your animal and make it kaddish. It doesn't work. But if she has full rights on the animal, then it could work and it's kaddish. And the fact that we say that it goes back into the pen, back into the farm, mix it up with all the other animals, it's not a problem. There's the pshat that goes according to Chachamim that he never had to give his wife and provide her with an animal. The sign Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Adam maybe korban osher. So here's the pasuk. It's a little small. If a person cannot, I just chopped the psuk, not I didn't take any words out of these psukim actually, but I took from pasuk Zayin, pasuk Yud Aleph. In other words, if a person cannot bring the proper korbanos in certain situations, he can't bring an expensive sheep. So he can bring 2 birds. And then in pasuk Yud Aleph it says, the person is so poor, can't even afford 2 birds. Then flour. Okay, so there's 3 levels. There's an animal, birds, and flour. A woman, halachically, is poor. She doesn't have any money. She doesn't own anything. Right now, she doesn't have money. She's dependent on her husband, right? Because of the deal she has with her husband, etc. We don't have to go into it. Why and how, where. The bottom line is, she should bring, if she needs to bring a carbon, she should bring a little bit of flour to the Beis HaMikdash. No. Since she's dependent on a wealthy guy, he could afford it, so let him bring a carbon osher. He's meshuvah to her. So let her bring, like they asked this guy, you fly business, you're constantly limousines and this and that, but your father, he flies coach, he takes the bus. Well, what's going on here? So he said, I have a wealthy father. My father doesn't have a wealthy father. Okay? This woman has a wealthy husband. She can afford it, fine, but she has a wealthy husband. Let him give some gishmak korbanos. No need to give a little flour. Anything she's chayev. So she's Michal Shabbos by mistake, he has to provide a chatos. Shikach kosav. That's what he wrote her in the Ksuba, Kol Achrei Zislich Alai Min Kadmas Deno. That means everything I'm mechuyev to give to you, Shalom Yisrael. Wow, it's getting late, but we started what? 10 minutes? How late did we start? 10 minutes. Yeah, sure. Nice try. Now, what about a carbon nidava? Wife says, I want to bring a carbon nidava. I want to bring now a oila to Hashem. Husband chayiv, not chayiv? Not chayiv. Why not? Because she could be mechal his mom and couldn't have said it better. She could get rid of all his money. She says, I donate to Hashem 6,000 oilas right now. Husband goes to the bank account, and the next day she sees there's a little bit left over, 300. So what about Nazirus? She could become a Nazira. I can make him pay 3 korbanos. No, what's the pshat? Beautiful, says the Rosh. It's too much work. She can't drink wine for 30 days. She can't go to the Levayas. So it's not kedai for her to be mechal the moment for 3 korbanos to take on all this stuff. It depends what kind of relationship they have. Yeah. Huh? You can annul it. Yeah. Fine. Zok Gemara. Rav Amar. So now Rav, interesting. We just said it could only go according to Chachamim, not according to Rabbi Yehuda. Comes Rav and says it's even going to go according to Rabbi Yehuda. Then the Gemara is going to flip it around. Say it could only go according to Rabbi Yehuda, not according to Chachamim. Comes Rav and says no, it could even go according to Rabbi Yehuda. It's just a flip. Says Gemara. Rav Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Kimishavela b'milsa detzrichala. Rabbi Yehuda says that a husband has a shibud, he must provide for her. No, only in something that's necessary. But in this case, since he was made for in a zero, she's no longer in a zero, so she doesn't need the carbon anymore. She doesn't need the carbon anymore, then the carbon doesn't have a kedusha. It wasn't hers to give it, to make it a carbon. And some flip it. Who's the Tana that says that the carbon could go back into the pen? It goes according to Rabbi Yehuda. Now Rav Chiz is using Rav's svara. Rabbi Yehuda said that a husband is mechuyev to give his wife a karban, and therefore what? L'chayra, it should be the wife's and it should be kadosh. No. It's only hers when it's necessary. Since he annulled the Naziros, then yes, he's typically meshubad, but not in this case. The Rabbana, because you can't say it's Rabbana. What right does she have to go and take his karban and make it kadosh? It doesn't even begin. Who is she? It's like a stranger coming out and grabbing something that's not hers. And what are you going to say? There is a case that she has the right. The husband said it's hers. Somebody else said she could take. Then it's hers 100%. If it's hers 100%, it's kadosh. I don't know what just happened there, but it doesn't look good. Is that for everybody or just... Okay. You hear? So it's a manavshach. Either she has no right to it at all, or she has every right in the world because somebody gave it to her. Now, it happens to be that if the husband is mechuyev to her, he's meshubad, so the Karen says, Lamashal on Pesach. The husband doesn't have to give her a mat and say, hey, this is yours, harei zeh shalach, so that you can make the mitzvah. Once he's mechuyev and he's meshubad to give it to her, which he is on matzah, you don't even have to say it, it's hers. Rava Omar, Daf Amud Beis, sponsored the Yeshivas Noah Torah, Yerushalayim Barav, David Amin Shlito always encourages us to finish Shas. And Latzlacha for the Magachir and the members of the HBA group and their families on Main. Rava Omar, Afilu Temer Rabbanon. You could say it's Rabbanon. That what? He gave it to her. Yeah, he's mechuyev to give it to her. But Ki Makni Lo Nami B'Mizli Tzricha Lo. It's not hers completely. We said according to Rabbanon, either it's not, he never gave it to her at all, or he gave it to her, and if he gave it to her, then it's hers 100%. Says the Gemara, no, says Rav, unbelievable. It's possible that a husband gives his wife something 100%. Here, take this, here's a gift, take it. But once it becomes mavur, now we know that she never needed it, now it goes back to him. In other words, a shayla. Yeah, I give my wife money. I say, here, take this, $200. Go buy yourself a couch. And she goes to the store, which my wife, I don't know about your wife, she got distracted a little bit. She saw perfume, and she bought the perfume. Vashteta. It's a mekachtaos. I gave it to you for this. You got to stick to that. So Meil over here, he gave it to her to buy a carbon for her Naziris. She's not a Nazir anymore. And it goes back. That's what Rava says. I feel temer rabbanon. Maglam milsa de tzricha la. The milsa de tzricha la, lo makni la. Now, it is a beautiful... No, not yet. No, I'm not getting it. You're jumping. Look at this Taisus, top Taisus. It's easy to find. The Pirish Aram. The loy ma'ir shenasan la'ata lo karbanos Naziris. If a husband were to give his wife right now a carbon for Naziris, that's a problem. That's a kiyum. That's he's admitting that's a good Naziros. Here, take a carbon, do what you need to do for your Naziros. That means I agree to your Naziros. It's a gilcha. He wouldn't be able to do hafara. So what's the case? He says, many days beforehand, he said, listen, whenever you need a carbon, take. But he said this 2 months in advance, then it's not a problem. Says Gemara, if it says in the Mishnah, if she owned the animal, the chadas must die because she had all right to make it a carbon. He, Minala, where does she get the right to have a carbon? Everything mashkoni ishakona bala. Harmas mashkon ishakona bala. Omar Papa, shekimatzta mi sasa. She was stingy, and she took her food, and she didn't eat all of it. Just to point out, it says, we learned that all the extra of the parnasa goes back to the husband. That's if the husband said, listen, I'm giving you $100 a week because that's how much it cost. And then the prices dropped, so all the extra money goes back to the husband. But over here, she bought a loaf of bread, and she decided not to eat the entire loaf. She saved a third of the loaf, let's say. That third of the loaf goes towards her carbon. That remains hers. Oh, so now's the question. A guy gives you money to take a taxi, and you decide to take a bus It comes out from here, they get to keep it. However, says Rabbi Zilberstein, that if a teacher, and this happens a lot, you give money to a teacher to come, you want her to come refreshed. Why are you giving her a taxi? Because you don't want her to schlep on a bus for 2 hours. Maybe she has no right to keep that money because you did it al das that she should come refreshed. If a guy, you stop giving him money because you want to be nice to him to come, then you get to keep it. You like that, huh? So she was stingy with her dough. There was a Shachris is later today because we started late. Sorry. There's a very stingy guy on his deathbed, mamish, minutes before his death, and he looks around. He sees the ganze mishpacha. He says, "Nu, is everybody here?" Yeah, everybody's here. If everybody's here, so why are the lights on in the bathroom? Zog the Gemara. This is what our guest said over here, that there's another way to do it. I could give a woman something. The oila, you make it oila. The shlamim, you make it a shlamim, and there's a certain conditions. Sometimes it's a little bit like a Nazir, Shalmi Nazir, sometimes it's like a regular shlamim. Shmuel tells Abu Bari, you shall not sit. Now, if you read the word simply, what does it say here? Loy teisef, do not sit, al karoch, on your legs, on your feet. What does that mean? Don't sit on your feet. Simple taich means don't sit on your feet. But this line is brought down in Shas a bunch of times, and they always say, look over here, Nazir Daf Chavdal, and Taisus over here says, you have to stick in the word. Don't sit, but stand on your feet. But stand, not don't sit on your feet. In other words, don't take it easy until you can answer this question. Now, what's the question? Now, it's not a trick that I don't know if I ever mentioned this. This is like one of the basics, but one of the tricks in Gemara is, you could use it anywhere else. If you don't understand the question in the Gemara, so what do? You could look at the answer. If you look at the answer, sometimes you understand what the question is. It doesn't say what the question is, but it does tell us the answer. In other words, he asked him, tell me, it's a riddle, tell me the 4 rams that you never bring bread with. Now, one of them we just said. The shlamim, you don't bring the bread with. It's like a shlamim that's a regular shlamim. So the good news is that all this, almost all the way to the bottom, is very repetitive and it's like a freebie. It repeats the same things over and over. So here it goes. Shaloi, his, shalah, hers, v'shalach hermisen, after she dies, somebody dies, v'lach kapara, after there's a kapara. Shalah, hada maran, that if she's in a zero and her husband annuls the Nazirus, and before he annulled it, she put aside karbanos. The shlamim is a shlamim and there's no bread. Shaloi, this is tricky. What does shaloi mean? His. Who's his? It turns out it's not his. It's his son's. This nan. Hoyish, and this is a beautiful halacha that we're going to learn a lot about later in a few days. Hoyish madis benoy ben Nazir ve'inishim aderes is benoy ben Nazir. A man has the right to make his son, like Rabbi Turgeman did, his kids, the Nazirim. I think he told me that. We could ask him, but I think that's what he said. Fine. His son is a Nazir. The wife cannot do it. Now, there's a very, very easy way out of it. You're saying, oh, that's terrible. How can you make your son a Nazir? You started when you were 40 years old, so your hair is only growing there, but this kid is going to have hair worse than the guy from the ice cream store. So Gilach, if the son took a shaver and just shaved his head, or a trimmer, whatever it is, or a relative was disgusted by the whole thing and just give him a haircut, Micha, or he said, before this one, a haircut machine is without saying a word. Michas, he said, I don't want to be a Nazir. Or his uncle said, hey, I don't want him to be a Nazir. That's it. He's not a Nazir anymore. Interesting halacha. Okay, so here goes the repetitive things. If there was money set aside but not specific, it should go to the Beis Hamikdash for carbon oil. Mefurish, there should be a oil chatas, etc. Throw it in the Dead Sea. There's an Isser Me'ilah on the oila. With the money of the shlamim. There's only one day instead of 2 days. You You don't bring bread. Why? There's no Nazir here. Where are you going to put the bread? You're supposed to put the bread and you're supposed to shake it and wave it like a lulav. No, there's nothing. Shalach hamisa, I say like a lulav, but the lulav is like the tnufa. We learn the shaking of a lulav from when you go to the Beis Hamikdash and you shake things around on all sides. Okay, different time. Shalach hamisa min alon. Now, so that's shaloi. Shaloi means his son. Now, the third thing is, after a person dies and brings a shlamim, there's no bread. The snan, it's in a mishnah. If you set aside money for your naziros, there's no mi'ilah, you're not over mi'ilah. Because you can buy shlam with it, all of the money. Even though there's enough money for 3 korbanos, maybe he meant it's all shlamim and he's going to buy the other with other money. Meis, the guy died, and he left money that is, we don't know what it is. Buy oilers with it. If it's mefurish, you see, repetitive. Now, what does shlach kapara mean? After, the case is very simple. A person designated an animal for a carbon, it ran away, got lost, so he designated a second one. All of a sudden, one day, somebody shows up and says, I found this animal. Ooh, what do I do now? It's too late, because there's already kapara. So the Gemara Svaru, Shlach HaMisa Maitam, why? It's no different than when the owner dies. Because you can't give a kapara to someone who's dead. Shlach kapara nami. So too, when I already achieved my kapara with another animal, ask the Gemara, let's just do 2 more lines here, but there's a 5th thing. If somebody shechted a shlamim of a nazir without the proper kavana, he thought to himself, it's not a shlamim, it's a oila. Or it was the wrong age, says Taisvis. Instead of being 2 years old, it was 1 year old. Ksherim, it's a good animal, it's a good carbon. But the guy didn't achieve kapara, he has to bring another one. Only one day. Here's a case of no bread. Says the Gemara, I'm talking when somebody did it properly. Like a chashiv, not when he did it improperly. But boys, I have a wonderful day.